up to the Race Podcast this week. We have a very special guest with us. What is your name, sir?
I am Frederick Lubin. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely no problem. Now, you're the first guest that we've had on the show, so thank you very much for joining us. I know our listeners are going to be really interested to hear all about yourself and your insight on motorsport. So do you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're racing at the moment, and then we'll go into a bit more detail.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess the best place to start is how old I am. So I'm 16. I'm British, and I'm racing in the British F4 Championship. Currently with Arden Motorsport, and I think this is my fourth year in motorsport. I think. I started off in Junior Max, and then gradually worked my way up into cars.
I can't believe you're so young. It's incredible. God, what was I doing at that age? It's unreal.
Yeah.
How did you get into motorsport? What made you pursue it?
Well, I guess my father's always been into cars, and I think I watched F1 on the TV and IndyCar a couple of times when I was younger, and then I think my first time in a kart was maybe 8 at like a corporate track. And then, I'd just been dying to get into like the serious karting. And then I think one day it happened. And then, it went forward from there. So it was quite a late start into like serious motorsport, but I like cars and racing, I guess, has always been an interest or a passion from quite a young age.
Was there a driver that particularly inspired you to get into motorsport? Maybe someone in F1?
I think probably Lewis Hamilton growing up, because he was the big headline. A karting driver get picked up by McLaren at such a young age and gets pulled through. But I think Schumacher was with Mercedes still on the TV when I was younger, so there was still some big names, and obviously if they're still racing and they've got such history, it's like they're still iconic. So quite a few, but as I think growing up, Lewis Hamilton was definitely the main topic.
Certainly. I mean, I think he's done an incredible job in this country, certainly to inspire the next generation. I've always wondered, what is it that you need to give up sort of in your social life, in your entire life to pursue motorsport? It must be quite an intense schedule.
Yeah, I mean, it's, well, I guess it comes with so much because you're obliged to, because obviously at this level you sign a contract to your team, so you're obliged to meet their demands, I suppose. So you have to give up a lot of things, not just for yourself, but you have to give them up to help other people too. And there's a lot of responsibilities that come with it, like the training, and obviously you're missing so much time with school. You've got to catch up with that as well. So I guess people my age would be partying and going out with their mates. I guess I still have the time to do that, but it would be so tight for me to do so that I wouldn't be 100% for the racing. So there are sacrifices, but you're so passionate about the sport that it's not really that big a deal in my eyes. But I think as a family, I think there's a lot of sacrifices as well. But it's all part of trying to get your way to the top.
Certainly, I think those that don't really know much about motorsport, maybe they watch the odd race here and there, they might think, oh, they only, they turn up on a Sunday and have a race and then they're off for the week. But that's not the case at all, is it?
No. I mean, if there's that much work at this level, I can only imagine how much there is at the top. There's a lot of behind the scenes going on.
Definitely. So can you remember your first competitive race that you took part in? I assume it's in karts. So tell me about that. You must have been, nervous, excited? How did it go?
Yeah, I was very nervous, very excited. I guess all of the emotions. I wasn't very quick, but it was good fun. It was at Bayford Meadows. It was a warm, sunny day. and it was my first race with Project One. I think I got first place novice or something. But yeah, that was it. And then yeah, it just built and got better and better and more competitive. And then each weekend, I was doing more and more, whether it was testing or racing. So yeah, that was
I mean, just to give us an idea, you don't have a driving license at the moment, do you? So
no.
how fast do those, the karts that you first competitively raced in, how fast do they actually
Yeah.
go? What's it like driving one of those?
Well, I actually don't. I think I think they're about 50 mile an hour, 50, I think, 50, 60, something around there. I'm not actually 100% sure, but it's more because they're so light. The heaviest thing is probably the driver, and you're only sat like that far off the floor, so you're so close. It feels a lot quicker than it actually is. And yeah, I mean, they accelerate as fast as anything, so they feel a lot quicker than they actually are. But I mean, at that age, it's quick.
So it's not like your average go-karting track where you go with for your birthday party, is it?
No, it's very different. But it's not like this. I guess the sort of person that would do that could very easily test or race those, the professional karts as such. It's not like it's a big transition or a hard thing to do.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just knowing where to look.
Okay, so you said you've been in the motorsport world for 4 years now, competing.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of questions. We're going to start with what's been the most difficult sort of event? Have you had any real big crashes? Have you had any tough races? What are the lowlights? And then we will go on to
Right.
the highlights.
Yeah. The lowlights. Well, I guess my most recent weekend in F4, last weekend at Silverstone, was pretty low. I think it's probably the lowest I've had in quite a while. And I guess the lows, I mean, they can come in any form. I think at Silverstone, for me, I got crashed into at race one, and that resulted in a DNF. And it's not so much the fact that you're not finishing a race; it's the fact that you're not bringing home points for yourself. You're not bringing home points for the team. And then, obviously, because that happened in race one, I had everything within my power to kind of fix that and improve on it for race 2 and 3. But I think that had a knock-on effect, and I couldn't lift my head high enough to come back from that. And that makes it more frustrating because it's something that you could have done.
Yep.
But I mean, yeah, you could have that one chance in qualifying and you ruin it. And then obviously you're starting further back than where you should be, and that ruins your races. Yeah, I mean, it could come in any form.
And
But yeah.
what do you do personally to sort of get over that? Mentally, how do you pull yourself together and think, right, put that to one side and let's move on?
I think I think not to dwell on it. I get said a lot about it gets said about a lot of things, but yeah, definitely not to dwell on things. I think once obviously once you've gone into the steward's room or whatever, once you've had that appeal, I guess, against whatever points it may be or penalties, I think once you've come out of that, the best thing to do is to reset and kind of not forget that that's happened, but just move on from it, and kind of use, I guess, the anger or the frustration or whatever, to use that rationally for the next race to help you kind of get over that. Because I think if your next race isn't as good, then obviously it will have a knock-on effect for the whole weekend. And then you're just not competing at the level that you feel you should.
Yeah, you certainly see it with the younger F1 drivers. They struggle to sort of pull themselves together quicker, and I can see that. Enough of the bad stuff. Tell me what the career highlight has been off and on circuit. So what's your best race been? What's really made you love what you do, and what's been the highlights?
I think in terms of a best race, I think the best race I felt I've ever had was Donington, round 1 of the British F4. Race 2, I finished 4th. Yeah, I think that was definitely my best, I feel, because I had the pace, although people in front of me had crashed, I had the restart that I had to get through, and then I had to get past my teammate. And there was a gap, but I think my pace was definitely worthy of a top 4 finish. And yeah, I felt like I was really comfortable with being there. I wasn't really feeling the pressure. And I felt I could manage my gaps really easily. So that's definitely my best race to date still, I think. I equaled a 4th at Thruxton, but that was pretty much on luck. And
at least you admit it. At least you admit it.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't really have the pace to be in 4th. I think, if I had have driven at my best, it probably would have got away with a top 5. But some of the other teams were just too far up the road for us to catch. But yeah, I had some really good. Like my first race in senior max was really well. I think I qualified 2nd in group. Had some bad heats and had to start 8th in the final, and then came through to 4th. So there's been some good races here and there, but definitely Donington race 2 is the standout for sure.
Cool. Okay. And how would you, if you had to look at yourself as a driver, how would you describe your style? Are you that aggressive, go for any chance, or are you that cool, calm, consistent, deliver? Reflecting on yourself, what would you say?
I definitely would go with the latter. I think if I look back at this year, there have been some races where I've gone, I definitely could have done something there, or I've sat here for way too long. So definitely the more conservative side of things. But I guess it's knowing when to pick when you're going to make the move. I guess if you're always looking for that space, it's maybe too aggressive. And if you're always waiting, then it's too conservative and you're not moving forward enough. So it's just having that knowledge and that balance of when you need to do it. But yeah, definitely on the smoother side of things. I think I could be smoother, but as if we were using a scale, I'm towards the smoother end, I suppose.
Okay, that's really interesting. So from here, obviously you're in the British F4 at the moment. I believe you are 9th in the championship?
Yeah, 9th or 10th, I think. 10th, I think. 10th, yeah. Okay.
So I believe you're 10th in the championship. Tell me what's next for you? Where do you want to take your career? What is your ultimate goal?
My ultimate goal is Formula One. I think that's the pinnacle of motorsport. I think that's what everyone looks up to. If you can be one of those 20, you're one of the 20 best in the world. So that's definitely where I want to get to. That's where my head is at. But also, I guess I'm passionate about motorsports in general. So if I was in a position where I could be getting, a paid drive, maybe at 18, 17, but that wasn't in Formula One, that was maybe in GT cars, I think I would definitely go that route, because I'm just happy to be racing, driving, whether that's a single seater or a GT car. But if there's a route to Formula One, I definitely would stick to that for sure. But it's just, I guess next year, it's just whether I do another year of British F4 or whatever it is, it's just a way to, help progress through the ladder as quickly as possible without skipping over or missing certain, I guess, experiences or, ticking the boxes as such.
For sure. Being in the motorsport world, who, in your opinion, would you say is the current most exciting or driver, or who's really on course to go somewhere? You can say yourself if you want, but who do you think's got that real spark?
There are a lot of really fantastic drivers out there that I think they deserve a lot more than what they're doing at the minute. I guess my driver coach Alex Quinn, he does amaze me. I think with the things that he's done and the things that he's doing, I think you can give him an uncompetitive car, and by the end of the week, he'll make that car worthy of a top five. So he's definitely amazes me with the things that he's able to do and the things that he says and the feedback he gives. So he's someone that I look up to. I wish him all the best, and I hope that he can get as high up the ladder as he can.
Do you think it's an equal playing field? Do you think the best drivers get to where they should go, or do you think there's a bit of luck in there? How does the inside workings of motorsport really function?
I guess with all sports, there's always, with anything, there's always luck involved. But I think, it's not always a level playing field, but it's not totally one-sided like in Formula One. It's not like there's a Mercedes car and then there's a Red Bull car. It's all, to an extent, it's all very close. So it's the driver that makes the big difference. But you're always going to have a driver that gets through with a little bit more luck, or he creates that luck more so than other drivers. As at this level, it is incredibly level. The playing field is incredibly level.
Okay. That's good to hear. That's really good to hear. In a very simple sense, just to give our listeners an idea, how would you compare sort of a British Formula 4 car to a road car? And then how would you compare it to an F1 car? Just so that, people can understand what it is you're actually achieving here.
To compare to an F1 car, we're incredibly slow. I guess, so in terms of lap time, I'm going to make the assumption we're maybe 2 minutes slower than an F1 car. The F1 car's got a lot more downforce. It's a lot more mechanical grip. There's a lot more horsepower. There's a lot more technology that goes into it. Formula One is what's pushing road cars to be safer, more advanced. And F4 is the starting point for, kids like me who are young, just starting off in the single-seater career. To compare it to a road car, I guess I saw on YouTube. I saw a good comparison of an F4 car made to a Porsche GT3, I think.
Okay, I'd like to see that if you send that over.
Yeah, I think they're about the same. The Porsche is quicker in a straight line, but the F4 is much quicker through the corners. And that's just down to the mechanical grip and the downforce that the F4 car has to offer.
Wow, so it's really not it's still a challenge. These single seaters are seriously fast.
Yeah. I think physically there's a lot of challenge as well, compared to a road car, because road cars have power steering and things.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for joining us. That's all we got time for on this time. But do you want to let the listeners know where they can find you, how they can follow you, any social media links?
Yeah. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. My Instagram is Frederick_Lubin. My Facebook is Frederick Lubin Racing, and my Twitter, I think, is the same as my Facebook. So if you give us a follow, that would be very much appreciated. And thank you very much for having me.
No problem. We will be following you. We will be watching what happens. And from all of us at the Nerds, we wish you the best of luck. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.